Are you still standing around?
Yes,
So,
because I wrote down.
John, you should have done a podcast with a more professional person.
It's because I wrote down a list of questions ready during the week, and I can't remember where I've put it, so I'm struggling to try and remember them. And now the only ones that jump into my head, I don't have any.
Do you not have a special Would You Rather folder?
I do, but I had the idea while I was at work, and I lost the piece of paper by the looks of things. Because normally I transfer them, because I got a scribble on my book from the other night when I was in bed with Lauren, and I dived out of bed to grab my pad. She went, "What are you doing?" I went, "I had an idea for a question." She went, "Oh, okay, I'm going back to sleep."
Isn't your sister called Lauren?
Yes, she is. Different Lauren. Do you know what is relevant to this podcast? That sometimes people have the same name. Fucking hell.
Well, I am aware of that. I just thought I'd do something to make you feel awkward, since you do it to me all the fucking time.
Hi, I'm the John that's building a wall out of chocolate.
And I'm the John that's the former director of Higgins Consultancy Services Limited.
And I'm not John, Apache King of Yore. And this is Would John Rather. This is a podcast where I ask two people called John, would they rather questions, and they sometimes answer me. As always, we'll dive straight in. So John and John, would you rather be a contestant on The Price is Right or Wheel of Fortune?
Neither. I was well hoping you were going to say gladiators.
No, that's too obvious of a choice.
So which mundane options have I got to choose from?
The Price is Right or Wheel of Fortune?
Can you remind me what happens on these shows?
Yeah, on one of them you have to guess if the price is right, and on the other one you spin a wheel of fortune.
Oh, well,
wait.
I want to be a contestant on The Price is Right because I don't believe in fortune.
The wheel. Right.
You make your own luck.
As if you don't know what these shows are, but I will explain just in case there's any of the listeners that don't either. The Price is Right is where you're shown random household objects and you have to guess how much they cost. And if you get
John doesn't know how much things cost. He lives in London.
And the closer to the correct
Everything's 20 quid
answer,
more expensive.
and the closer to the correct answer you get, the more money you win. And then at the end, they line up a big lineup of a car and a holiday and a jacuzzi, and you have to guess the collective price. And if so, you win the lot. Wheel of Fortune is you spin a wheel and then you play hangman.
Which is terrible for those of us who can't spell very well. Cheers, John, for leaving us the short straw.
Well, I consider myself an encyclopedia of knowledge about how much things cost, so...
Really?
Yeah, name anything and I can tell you the cost.
A banana.
How much does a two-bed house cost?
A banana costs 47 pence and a two-bedroom house costs £470,000.
Where you live, that's the point.
I think that the answer is that is the price in London. Because I think
no. In London, where I live, it would probably cost you £700,000. 470,000
for the banana.
£470,000 will either get you a banana or a two-bed flat.
I love the spectrum of getting the price of everyday objects. And John being a homeowner went, I'm going to go with a house. And me being poor, still at the age of 29 with zero savings, went, I'd probably have a potassium deficiency. Those were the either ends of the spectrum.
Is there anything else you want me to tell you the price of?
No. So is that the Price is Right? You'd rather go on The Price is Right?
Well, the price is what the value of something is. The price is someone willing to pay for it, and I'm not willing to pay more than 47 pence for a banana, so that's the price of it.
No, that's how some things work, but it's not on a much grander scale. If you put something for a price in a shop and it doesn't sell, then they reduce the price or they work on advertising. So it is a collective decision. You don't walk it into a price and say, give me this bizarre banana for at maximum 47 pence. They wouldn't turn around to you and go, go on then.
Well, they might.
This isn't Agrabar. You can't barter for your wares.
You can. You should try it.
Do you pay your rent with a poem?
No.
Oh, welcome to Would John Rather, a quick podcast about economics and bananas.
My wife paid for her lunch the other day with a poem.
Yeah, that's because she's an attractive woman.
I think it was a.
Was it in a French restaurant where they appreciate art and culture?
No.
Or has she recently been sectioned?
I don't
Did she write
so.
her poem on a £10 note?
Welcome to The Price
really
is Right. Welcome to The Price is Right, where this banana costs a limerick and a 2-bedroom house in the centre of London costs a 13-verse sonnet.
Don't be silly. You'd need to write at least 27 verses before you'd be allowed near the door.
And be classed a laureate.
Right, let's get slightly back on topic. John?
I don't care for Supermarket Sweep. If I'm honest. I quite like the late Dale Winton, but Supermarket Sweep wasn't really my thing.
Supermarket Sweep wasn't an option.
I was hoping you'd forget that. I thought we got off topic and I could have got away with that. Obviously not. Right, I would rather go on the Wheel of Fortune so I could spin the big spinny wheel round and leave my fate to the numbers on the glittery board and then say vowels and probably get told to go away because I can't have more than 3 A's or 3 guesses of an A.
Why would you guess A on the second time if it's up
it
there?
Worked the first time. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
A. There's no A's. Is it A? They're not going to randomly find an A. They're not going to change the spelling halfway through.
Oh, you know what? We were wrong. Here you go. Can they come pointless instead? I want to see how tall Richard is.
Oh, Lord.
Do you remember there was a old Batman television series? I think it was from the 1960s that had Adam West in it.
With shark repellent bat spray?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the last ever episode that I remember watching of that ended with Batman stuck to a spinning wheel. And I don't know if he ever got out of that or not. And it really haunts me. So
I think Adam West went on to lead a very fruitful life.
Well, we don't know.
Many a voiceover for Family Guy.
Do we actually know, or is he still stuck there on that spinning wheel for all eternity? So it's just another reason why I wouldn't want to be anywhere near a spinning wheel.
But you're getting confused. We're talking about the Wheel of Fortune, not the Wheel of Misfortune.
I mean, horses for courses. One man's fortune is another man's misfortune.
Horse carts have wheels. Trains have wheels. Cars have wheels.
Why are we?
You say you walk everywhere.
I do walk most places.
What public transport do you get?
The Docklands Light Railway.
Wheels. Got wheels on it.
It hasn't.
What do you mean it hasn't got wheels on it? It's a train.
Magnets.
Magnetic wheels.
Do we seriously have maglev in London and I don't know about it?
Maybe.
That's why the price of bananas has skyrocketed.
Everywhere's maglev.
Right.
I like wheels. My bike is in my hotel room because I smuggled it past reception. I don't know if it should be in here or not, but I do like to go for a ride on it because it's got wheels and it makes things fast. And I want to play a fast, high-risks game show where anyone could be a winner.
We've had 6 very successful episodes where we followed a format. And this week, John, you've decided, let's try something new based off of that famous kids' TV show where episode 7, sponsored by The Shaped Circle. And today's number is the number 7. Are we sponsored by a letter as well? Oh, A, because you like A so much. Do we have a colour as well for today?
Don't be ridiculous.
Get your head in the game. Tell me why you'd rather be in Wheel of Fortune over The Price is Right.
I don't even know who presented the Wheel of Fortune.
Neither do I.
Right, okay. What am I supposed to do with that information?
You're not.
Right, okay.
Okay, both of you. I try my absolute best to try and make these questions interesting and specific enough so you can completely go off topic. What game shows would you rather I'd asked you about? Are one of you more of a fan of catchphrase?
Well, no, like Gladiators and Crystal Maze would have been a good one.
Well, that's not the question that you've got. Sometimes life doesn't go to plan, and life doesn't deal you the hand that you. Do you know what does? Do you know what other game show I could have used? Play your cards right. That doesn't deal you the hand you want either.
Are we secretly sponsored by like Dave or like Gold TV, wheeling out all these old game shows?
That's what I'm angling for.
I've always liked Top Gear.
What was the other one with Dale Winton where there was all the TV screens where he'd walk along?
The Generation game?
No. That was Brucey.
TV show, I don't know.
The Lottery?
The Lottery's not a game show.
It is.
This is not.
It is.
How, you know what, I'm just going to agree with you. So it's just easy. You're clearly, I knew from the off that you were both in this kind of mood.
I've told you why I want to go on The Price is Right, and I've told you why The Wheel of Fortune is terrible, and I think we just need to make a decision.
Oh, in 2002, Dale Winton began presenting the National Lottery.
And what did he do on the National Lottery? He presented a game show.
No.
He did.
This isn't true.
There was a game show on the lottery for a bit. No, there was. There was like if you won, you got to go on a holiday or something, and then you had to defend your spot on holiday against people in the studio, and then if they won, you had to go back home to Croydon.
There was
then they got to go on holiday.
There was a spin-off of the National Lottery called In It to Win It, which Dale Winton hosted. So I was mistaken. That was a spin-off.
But it was done like as the lottery was being done. Like at the end of In It to Win It, they'd announce the balls.
Does anybody else remember? So the National Lottery started in November 1994. Does anybody else remember as it was starting? I remember in the town market in Huntingdon, all the markets were selling tiny golden shoes that were supposed to be good luck charms for winning the lottery. And I have a very vivid memory of this. And I wasn't aware of it at the time because I couldn't form it into words, and I was only 5 years old, I think, because I can't do the math this late in the day. But I was always aware that I couldn't understand how the lottery could work, where you would buy something for £1 and maybe win lots of money. And then I realised, as I got older, it's just a giant pyramid scheme.
Yeah, except the beneficiaries are A, Camelot, and B, the Olympics. It was set up by John Major, who was the MP for Huntingdon and the Prime Minister.
Fantastic.
Is that how the Olympic gym got put in Huntingdon?
Probably paid for with National Lottery funding.
Ah, well, there we go. The more you know. How's that, chaps? Well, so, after listening to both of your very coherent arguments, there is no winner in this question, only losers, because even if either of you went on any of the game shows that we've mentioned, I don't feel like either of you would be compliant enough to win. Even if you
the biggest loser was the one asking the question.
Even if you went on the Crystal Maze and you said, "Oh, I'll have a skill game," you somehow managed to snap the wheel off the wall that you had to spin to get it to roll around. And John, I don't know. I could see you doing quite well on a sort of a general knowledge quiz show until it got to something to do with pop culture. And there's always at least one question to do with that.
At that point, you phone a friend or ask the host.
Oh yeah, they've introduced Ask the Host, haven't they?
Yeah, apparently it's terrible because every single time they've asked Jeremy Clarkson, he seems to just always get it wrong, apparently.
Fantastic.
Wait, Jeremy Clarkson's doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
How did you not know this?
I've been living in my little Scottish bubble for the last 6 weeks, where people are actually more worried about the price of iron brew.
87 pence.
Thank you, sugar tax.
How much is that in fluid ounces, John? Is that a can, a small bottle, a large bottle, a lake?
A drop for the old iron brew. The stuff that's been outlawed and people are selling on Facebook and eBay by the pallet.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's not allowed to go on the shelf. You know how they've got like cigarettes as currency in prison? Original iron brew. Original iron brew. I'm not even kidding you. I'm genuinely not.
Well,
and there was one of the bars in town have still got original iron brew in the syrup machine for their soda streamy gun things they've got, and Matt will correct me on what it's called
I call it the snake.
or not. So, yeah, one of the bars in town have still got original Iron Brew in the snake, and within like a day, people found out about it and it was gone because people were like, "Oh, I need draft Iron Brew," like drinking the place dry.
Well, as always, tweet at us at WoodJRather with your opinions on Jeremy Clarkson and Iron Brew. I think we've thoroughly covered game shows in general. So I'm not as hopeful for my second question after that anymore, but here goes. So, in a very literal sense, with the idioms, would you rather every time there was a figurative elephant in the room, there was an actual elephant in the room, or every time you were curious, a cat died?
I'll go with the elephant because it'd be a little bit more interesting, unless you were going to present someone with a dead cat every time they went, "Oh, I wonder what is in this special sauce," and someone just turned up and like dumped a cat on your desk.
I mean,
So I think the elephant, as much as it would be awkward because you might not be in a large room and you open the door and there's just an elephant in the way, like, "Oh God, not again." It would be a little bit easier to explain than people dropping off dead felines to you.
I never said that you had to be present. Just a cat would die. It could be a lion in Bristol Zoo, or it could be Mrs. Marple down number 87's cat, or it could just be one of those random cats that you see abroad that are on your balcony. And there is no clause in this, would you rather, that when the cat dies, whoever's nearest has to come and present you, Jonathan, with the deceased feline in a very ironic way that cats would normally bring you their kill. There is no clause, just whenever you feel curious, a cat dies.
That's brutal. Like, it could be anyone's cat. It could be someone's mum's cat. It could be someone else's first pet. And you go, "Oh, I wonder." Bam. No more mittens. And you'd never know. So you could go around a museum and just be curious all day long and just leave a trail of dead cats
A massacre.
everywhere. Just an absolute massacre. That's horrible. Bring on the elephants. That's what I say.
Okay. John, anything
And
to add?
relatively, how often is there an elephant in the room?
When there's something unspoken that you feel as though you need to speak about.
I can't remember the last time that happened to me. Because I wear like everything on my sleeve. Everything's very open. There's nothing anyone needs to sort of confront me about, and I'm not a particularly confrontational person. I think people are quite honest and open with me. Doesn't normally happen. So I think my elephant to cat ratio would be quite askew.
Elephant to cat ratio is now my new favourite thing that we've said on this show. That's fantastic.
Better than hashtag Bath Time Brothers.
Better than Bath Time Brothers by a country mile.
Oh, okay. John, you hate cats. Do you want to wade in on this?
Well, so I would rather that cats died every time I was curious about something, because, and this is a very, very strongly held view, that in previous episodes, Matt has always given the win to the person who talks down cats the most. And
You're going to get me so in trouble with the missus. Oh dear.
I mean, that we had a very straightforward game before. I think it was dog v cat. Dog won and cat lost. So I think this is the time for cats to shine.
You
by
can't
dying.
You can't. First of all, you can't draw a trend of me being that against cats from one isolated incident. That's not a trend. That's just once.
Well, it's spotting the trend early.
You're predicting a trend based on an isolated incident. Okay, that's fine.
What's that program that Victoria Corin Mitchell presents? That really difficult one.
I don't know who she is.
Yes, you do. David Mitchell's wife.
I don't know who that is.
Only Connect. It's on Only Connect. That's
I've
a game show.
never heard of it.
Well, anyway, they've got very clever people on it. It's ridiculously difficult questions. And
Hey Matt, that's why we don't watch it.
they have to spot a trend, but they do have the option of answering the question after only one image. So, and I'm answering after one image that I'm banking on this happening. And I'm drawing a link to the previous question by bringing a game show into it.
You're banking on the concept that one of your closest friends that you've known for over 15 years is an advocate of feline genocide.
You hate cats.
I don't hate
you hate
cats. You hate cats.
I don't hate cats specifically. I just hate most animals.
I bet you're
Which is
welcome
why
to go around a zoo with. Oh, look at that coat. It has a face. John, that's a fox. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Actually, I'm a barrel of laughs at the zoo.
What?
My
Did
wife-
you bring your crossbow?
It was taken off me at the entrance, when they do the bag search. Last time we were at the zoo, my wife and I spent 3 hours at the penguin exhibition, and I didn't really want to go around anywhere else.
Okay.
Did she leave you and come back?
It was just, the problem was, is there was just...
Sorry, I genuinely thought you were just going to leave it as there. Why didn't she just leave you? And I thought you were just going to leave it there. Of just 3 hours with the penguins is enough. I've had enough of your shit, and she just left you.
Grounds for divorce.
Yeah.
Penguins.
My wife didn't have enough of a love for the penguins, so I left her. And then in my hasty revenge, I've been killing cats ever since.
She likes cats. I kill them. She'll like penguins one day when they don't die on it.
Yeah, and
It's
also
getting very dark.
yeah. But to carry on that trend, John, didn't you say that your wife is a cat thief?
Yes.
So what you might actually end up with a load of dead cats being brought to you accidentally, as per our previous conversation, if your wife just keeps bringing home maimed cats because she's upset about them.
Gets curious about why they're dying.
Yeah, and then she brings home this bundle, and you go, "Oh, what's that?" And then another cat dies because of your curiosity about the dead cat, and it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So what sort of things do you get curious over? Is it worth it? Is it worth to think, I wonder how many calories are in mayonnaise? Bam, cat dead. Is it worth it? Have you got Stephen Hawking levels of, I wonder how the universe is made? Something that could maybe benefit us with space and time travel.
I'm going to Google the exact definition of curiosity, although there apparently is a band called Curiosity Killed the Cat. And that's not what I mean by every time you get curious, you're not going to kill a band member. Just to make sure that we've got the correct definition in case. Curiosity is the desire to learn or know about anything. Inquisitiveness. Would you like to know the second definition of curiosity? Something curious. Thank you, Internet.
Did you know that at Stephen Hawking's funeral, there was a little side room that said, time travelers welcome?
Was there actually? I feel like that was just something that was on the internet that wasn't true.
I hope it was true. And let's face it, of all the people that are going to be worth coming back in time and seeing off, it would be the father of time and space theory.
Or mother. We're not sexist here with John Rather.
No, but Stephen Hawking was a man.
But he's deceased, so there was never any point of him coming back in time to see his own funeral because...
No, but people that developed it couldn't come back and see him off.
Oh, I'm with you.
That's the point of it.
So not the person who invented time travel wouldn't be the father of time travel. It would be someone that discovered something that led to the father of it.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't make him the father of time travel. That would make him like the grandfather or the great-grandfather of time travel.
Welcome to a John Rather, a show about semantics as well as economic banana podcasts.
And grammar. We normally we learn something about grammar from John, don't forget, so...
I've been on my best behaviour. I've not let you take a cheap easy shot with me for grammar yet. I've been trying to do it a bit fewer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm not...
Not reacting to it is making it even better.
Any more points you'd like to make about elephants and cats?
No, I can tell you more about bananas, though.
No, we've moved on from bananas.
Well, just before we move on from bananas, don't you think it's interesting that bananas are grown thousands of miles away, have to be shipped on cooled containers, and survive no more than 2 weeks after they're cut off a tree before they go disgusting. And yet they're still cheaper than apples, which are typically grown, within a few miles of a shop and can last for months.
Are they cheaper than apples?
Yeah.
We've been over you knowing how much things cost, so apologies if I'm wary of your knowledge. But also, it's supply and demand, and I don't know, I'm torn between the fact that there's apples are obviously in a greater supply, but there's also a lot more of them because of that fact. So the apples are used for...
There's also a lot of types of apple. There's cooking apples, there's like eating apples, there's sweet ones, there's sort of ones that are a bit more tart. I think bananas are just bananas.
I just think it's interesting that, something that can be sourced so close to home costs so much less than something that has to be imported from literally thousands of miles away. It's just an interesting quirk of modern economics.
Well, yeah, that's why we ship a lot of our production overseas, because it seems to be cheaper. The actual logistics of getting things to our country seems to be easier than actually producing it in our own country. If you want any generic and basic electronics, it's cheaper to get it shipped and purchase the item from somewhere like China than it is to get it made in this country, which is why one of the reasons the economy's gone to shit. Because we don't produce anymore. We're a service industry.
I can understand that. But you know what's holding its value very well is ivory.
Ivory is just going up and up.
I said ivory.
Oh, ivory. I thought you said iron brew.
So when that as well. But,
that's holding its value a lot better in Scotland.
And it's only going to get rarer. People drink it.
But
it's going to be fewer cans.
I thought it was now getting to the point where it was illegal to own ivory. So wasn't there a big uproar?
Stop people trying to attain it.
Yes.
And if I can conjure an elephant out of thin air, I can then tusk it for its own safety.
There was never ever a clause that stated that you had to kill the elephant. The cat died.
I wasn't killing the elephant. I was removing the ivory for its own good. It's like getting a haircut on your face.
I don't think it's quite the same.
What do you know? You ain't got tusks.
No, I haven't got tusks. It's a very astute observation of you.
That's what people say about me. I'm very astute in my observations about people who do and do not have tusks.
It's a very specific...
I've also seen that you do not have tusks.
You have a very specific superpower.
Oh, that was going to be my question for you next week.
Would I rather have tusks or no tusks?
No, be able to see whether people had tusks or not be able to notice them.
How do we know that people have tusks and we just can't notice them anyway? Right, we're getting severely off topic, more so than ever before, so I'm going to end this before we end up in some deep, dark hole, because I've got stuff to do with the rest of my day.
A deep, dark hole like the ivory trade.
Like the ivory trade. It's a very, very simple answer. I am going to go with I'd rather every time there was an elephant in the room, there was actually an elephant in the room. Not because, and I nearly changed my mind just purely because John wants to kill the elephants. But it's based on two facts of A, the occurrences of, there is quite often an elephant in the room, but not as often as you're curious. And also based purely on the fact that John made the assumption that I would pick Curiosity Killed the Cats just purely out of my enjoyment for deceased felines. And I didn't like the way that he just assumed that I'd enjoy that. And to clarify, as I stated before, nothing to do with the fact that I may get in trouble with not only my lovely partner, but many, many women out there, including your wife, John, who may hunt me down and kill me should I even suggest that killing cats is even a pastime that's crossed my mind. On that note...
It obviously is, because you came up with this question.
This is a very good point. But
Can we just reiterate that no cats or elephants were harmed in the making of this episode of Would Job Rather?
No, definitely. There's no animal cruelty whatsoever. Not yet. Unless you don't make at least one friend listen to us, then we will harm an elephant. We will. We're not joking. Here's
How
an
are you
idea.
going to harm an elephant? You just walk over and punch it. What's it going to do?
Nothing. Oh, no, because you'll have removed its tusks.
It can still pick you up this trunk.
Here's an idea for saving the British economy. Why don't we start trying to... So obviously the ivory trade's dying out, so you can't have all these beautiful chess sets and pianos and things that you once had back in the day. And, as we've discussed, cats, take them or leave them. Why don't we try and start a trade of cat ivory?
As my previous superpowers discussed, cats do not have tusks.
But we could use their teeth and their brittle bones.
How do you know they're brittle?
Cats always land on their
Whoa.
feet.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, maybe they're not brittle.
So a gyroscope's powered by cats. Do you tape two cats together,
No,
put them
because
on a communal drive shaft,
you
throw
can't...
them in the air, and they'll try and land on their feet, but the other one will try and land on its back, so it's just going to keep rotating. It's going to keep spinning. It's never going to touch the ground.
You can't push a gyroscope over. You can push a cat over.
You can push a gyroscope over you. You just need to apply the force from 90 degrees with rotation. It's called precession. Please don't argue with me. I've studied it a lot the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the calling cry of someone confident in their argument. Please don't argue with me.
So, if you would like to directly message me at Twitter, I'm at John without an H.
And I'd prefer if you just didn't message me on Twitter. Thanks.
Well, I believe you've got a question for me, as per usual, gents.
Right, Matt, so it's my turn to ask you a question this week. And my question to you is, would you rather have a life-crippling disease named after you that sweeps the nation, or a really boring creature that no one's ever heard of that you discovered?
By creature, do you mean insect, animal, bacteria? Help me out.
Yeah, just
No one's
something
ever-
that no one's ever seen before.
Someone must have seen it.
Or we'll see again. Well,
Well,
yeah,
it's-
you invented it.
Yeah.
I invented it. Do you mean discovered?
Don't correct me.
If
There
you
we
mean-
go, the grammar podcast.
If you mean invented, then 100% that, because that means I'm some crazy scientist who's been splicing animals together and I've got a John Fly scorpion hybrid.
No, that's not what we meant.
So you meant
Reanimated cats.
reanimated cats. So you mean I've discovered a species of animal that very soon after I discovered went extinct. So I'm just located in a textbook somewhere that possibly tens of people will see.
Yes. Opposed to everyone will know your name by the end of the year because there's a horrible infection going around. Named after you, possibly.
Is the infection a disease, the virus, whatever it is it deadly? Can people die from it? Is it very serious? Or is it just more of an epidemic like the common cold?
I think it's spreading like super gonorrhea is at the moment.
You'd know more about that than I do, so do continue.
Super gonorrhea, it can't be cured by modern medicine. People are getting it, and nothing's shifting it. And the kids of these days are being told about it, and they've been told to wrap it up, and they're still not, and they're still getting super gonorrhea. So
Okay, but what are the outcomes of having super gonorrhea? Is there actual things that are going to go wrong with me? Am I going to develop, life altering things? Is it going to shorten my lifespan? Or is it like nits where people go, oh, you've got nits, and you go, oh no, I've got nits. What does that mean? Or it just means you've got nits.
You've got nits.
yeah, you've got nits.
So it doesn't actually do anything to you. It's just a case of you've got super gonorrhea. What does that mean? Just that you've got super gonorrhea. So it doesn't alter your life in any way.
No, but not. Yeah, it's a negative thing though.
Yeah, but why is it a negative thing?
Because you
That's why-
die.
Oh, I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to ascertain. I need to know.
You said a good question doesn't have to be explained.
I'm allowed to ask questions. You can't ask me if I'd rather have a disease named after me, and when I ask what the ramifications, if you turn around and said, yes, this is a disease that shortens your lifespan by at least 20% of what it could have originally been, or it's like, what's it called, where you're going to lose like bits of your arm and your left foot, or, it's going to make you infertile if you don't get it treated within 6 months, or is it just a case of, oh, you've got a bit of a cough?
Okay.
It's a deadly one. The deadly
Yeah.
disease.
Deadly disease, and it kills you very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And violently. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. What
And
percentage?
If you
what
poo
percent-
yourself, then that's a good outcome.
Okay.
The bad outcome, you don't want to know about
Okay. So we'll say we'll err on the side of caution. It's got about a 40% mortality rate. The not John disease. And what percentage of the planet are going to going to contract this disease? What
All
are
of them.
what are we projecting?
80.
80% are going to contract the disease, and 40% of those are going to die. Okay.
Yes.
This is how serious it is. Do you want it named after you?
16. So if my math is correct, and I'm sure people will let me know if it's not, but I believe 32% of the world's population are going to die from not John-itis. Oh.
See, I prefer it to be named after your surname.
So, it's difficult because I don't want to kill anyone, but I do think the planet's overpopulated. But I'm going to go with, after you finally provided me the information that I need, just because I don't want to personally be held responsible for killing 32% of the world's population, I'm going to go with the very soon to be extinct animal that's only just been discovered. Just because I quite like those people at parties and things like that demonstrate and boast about things that aren't boast-worthy, and you guarantee I'll be dropping that into every conversation. So, hi, yeah, I'm not John, and I discovered the bioluminescent bookworm frog. And they'd go, oh, yeah, what does it look like? I go, there's no actual photographic evidence, only 3 people have ever seen it. And people go, oh. And then get on with their lives.
So you'd be evangelising people with the bioluminescent bookworm frog, and they think you're lying.
Yeah. But I'd carry around a copy of the tome that had it printed in that it was a real thing and that I discovered it, and show everyone. You know, and on top of that, like the death. Yeah, it's kind of like a second point, but all of the death, like, we'd avoid that as well with this outcome. But yeah, I'm going with bioluminescent bookworm frog for the win. Thank you. Good night.
Mic drop.
Boom. Thank you for the question.
You're welcome.
Well,
See, I could have sworn you'd have been happy being more infamous by having a deadly disease named after yourself, because then you drop it into conversation. Oh yeah, you know this is going around where you lose a leg. Yeah, named after me.
yeah, but as we've discovered, so we've learned so many things today, folks. But the one thing that we've discovered is if you presume to know the answer I'm going to give, I'm probably going to give the opposite one. That's all this week. Tune in next week for more Would John Rather. Tweet at us at WoodJRather. I've not been John, and I discovered the bioluminescent bookworm frog.
I've been John, and I've only been half interested in this episode because I got told I wasn't allowed to go on Crystal Maze.
And I've been John, and I'm going to start a new business, importing bananas.
Auf Wiedersehen.
So next week, are you going to ask me about Crystal Maze? Because I quite want to answer that.
Let the good times roll.